The circus train arrived at dusk. A behemoth of iron and shadow, it rolled into town under the eerie glow of a full moon. Its arrival was heralded by an unnatural silence, a hush that fell over the usually boisterous town like a shroud. The townsfolk, drawn by curiosity and a prickle of unease, gathered at the edge of the dusty field, their faces pale in the moonlight. The circus, named Carnival of Dreams, promised a night of wonder and excitement. Its posters, plastered on every available surface, depicted smiling clowns and daring feats, a stark contrast to the unsettling stillness that had descended upon their arrival. A chill wind whipped through the tents as they were being erected, their shadows twisting and contorting in the darkness like phantoms. The smell of popcorn and sawdust, usually associated with joy and laughter, now carried a metallic tang, a subtle but unmistakable scent of fear. Nightfall deepened the shadows, and the circus lights flickered to life. They cast a grotesque, almost demonic glow on the faces of the waiting crowd. The silence was broken by the first strains of the circus music, a discordant waltz that seemed to claw its way out of the darkness. It was a melody that sent shivers down their spines, a harbinger of the nightmare that was about to unfold. Among the townsfolk, whispers began to circulate, stories of other towns visited by this circus, towns left scarred and silent, their joy extinguished like a snuffed candle. But these whispers were quickly swallowed by the darkness, lost in the growing anticipation and the unsettling allure of the unknown that beckoned them towards the flickering lights of the Carnival of Dreams. He called himself Chuckles, a name that would forever be etched in the annals of the town's history, not with joy, but with terror. Unlike the brightly colored, jovial clowns that danced in their nightmares, Chuckles was different. His face was a grotesque mask of white paint, his smile a gash of crimson lipstick stretched into a terrifying caricature of mirth. Chuckles' eyes were the most unsettling, two black pits that seemed to devour the light, reflecting none of the joy and mischief that should have danced within them. Instead, they held a cold, calculating intelligence, a predatory glint that sent shivers down the spines of those who dared to meet his gaze. It was during his juggling act that Chuckles revealed his true nature. The air crackled with anticipation as he tossed 3 gleaming knives into the air, their blades catching the light with each rotation. The crowd gasped, their laughter dying in their throats as one of the knives veered off course, plunging towards a young boy in the front row. The boy screamed, a high-pitched sound that was swallowed by the gasps of the audience. But the knife never reached its target. Instead, it found its mark in the throat of the ringmaster, who stood frozen in apparent shock. A spray of blood arced through the air, painting the terrified faces in the front row crimson. Chuckles' smile widened, a grotesque parody of amusement, as he stood bathed in the spotlight, the dead ringmaster at his feet. His laughter, a high-pitched cackle, echoed through the stunned silence, the first chilling note in a symphony of terror. Fear, like a virus, spread through the town. What was initially dismissed as a tragic accident soon morphed into something more sinister. Whispers of Chuckles' chilling grin as the ringmaster breathed his last, the glint of madness in his eyes, spread like wildfire. The townsfolk, once eager for the distraction and excitement the circus promised, now barricaded themselves indoors, their laughter replaced by a silence thick with dread. Parents pulled their children close, their eyes darting nervously towards any shadows that dared to move. The once familiar streets, now cloaked in an unnatural darkness, seemed to whisper with unseen terrors. Each gust of wind carried with it a chilling laughter, the echo of Chuckles' macabre performance, amplifying the growing sense of unease. Days turned into an agonizing countdown. The circus, its initial allure replaced by a palpable aura of dread, remained on the outskirts of town, a constant reminder of the horror that had invaded their lives. The townsfolk, once a vibrant community, were now prisoners in their own homes, their lives held hostage by the fear that stalked their streets. The local sheriff, a man hardened by years of dealing with petty theft and the occasional bar brawl, found himself woefully out of his depth. He paced his office, his face etched with worry, desperately trying to restore order. But the fear was pervasive, seeping into every corner of their lives, turning neighbor against neighbor, reason into paranoia. the killings began subtly. A farmer found mutilated in his field, his face contorted into a mask of terror, his eyes staring vacantly at the sky. Then, a young woman, her body draped across the swings in the park, her laughter forever silenced. Each death, more gruesome than the last, bore the unmistakable signature of Chuckles' macabre artistry. The townsfolk, their initial fear now bordering on hysteria, demanded action. Armed posses were formed, their faces grim, their hands trembling as they clutched their weapons. But Chuckles, a phantom cloaked in shadow and madness, always seemed to be one step ahead, his laughter echoing through the empty streets, a mocking reminder of their impotence. One night, as the full moon cast an eerie glow on the terrified town, Chuckles struck at the heart of their sanctuary. The church, once a beacon of hope and solace, became his stage for a macabre spectacle. The priest, a kind old man who had dedicated his life to serving his flock, was found sprawled across the altar, his vestments stained crimson, his face frozen in a silent scream. Panic engulfed the town. The very foundations of their lives, their faith, their sense of security, crumbled under the weight of Chuckles' reign of terror. Their once peaceful town had become a hunting ground, their lives mere playthings in the hands of a madman. The air, thick with fear and the stench of death, was punctuated by the echo of Chuckles' laughter, a chilling symphony that heralded the town's descent into madness. Desperation gnawed at the heart of the town. They were trapped, caught in a macabre funhouse of Chuckles' design, their lives distorted, their fears magnified in the warped mirrors of his madness. The townsfolk, their faces etched with a mixture of terror and grim determination, knew they had one chance, one desperate gamble to break free from the nightmare that had engulfed them. A plan began to form, whispered in hushed tones behind locked doors, a beacon of defiance in the face of overwhelming fear. They would turn their terror into a weapon, their knowledge of the town, their interconnected lives, into a trap. Under the cover of darkness they moved, their shadows merging with the night, their fear overshadowed by a desperate hope. The circus, a monstrous silhouette against the moonlit sky, would be their battleground. It was a night of hushed whispers, of shared glances that spoke volumes, of a unity forged in the crucible of fear. As the clock struck midnight, signaling the witching hour, the townsfolk made their move. They swarmed the circus grounds, armed with whatever weapons they could find. Pitchforks, kitchen knives, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames of makeshift torches, their eyes burning with a desperate resolve. The battle was swift, brutal, a chaotic dance of shadows and flickering light. The air was thick with the smell of sweat, fear, and blood. But Chuckles, despite being outnumbered, was a whirlwind of manic energy, his laughter echoing through the melee, each chilling cackle a testament to the terror he instilled. One by one, the townsfolk fell, their courage no match for the depths of Chuckles' depravity. And then, as quickly as it began, it was over. Silence descended, heavy and absolute, broken only by the ragged gasps of the wounded and the pounding of their hearts. They had failed. Chuckles was gone, vanished into the night, leaving behind a trail of carnage, a chilling reminder of his reign of terror. The circus, now silent and deserted, stood like a macabre tombstone, a testament to the town's collective trauma. Life, in its distorted way, resumed, but the scars remained. The laughter of children was tinged with a lingering fear, their games haunted by the memory of Chuckles' grotesque grin. And in the shadows, whispered rumors persisted. Stories of a chilling laugh carried on the wind, of a glimpse of a painted face peering from the darkness. For they knew, deep in their hearts, that the nightmare wasn't over. Chuckles was out there, waiting, biding his time. And when they least expected it, when the laughter died down and the shadows grew long, he would return.